proudest day, and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. You know, I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.
Welcome along to Krunching Gears, the Rally Podcast. The 2025 season continues at the mighty pace, and I suppose before we start, can we please like, share, rate, subscribe? All those things make a difference, and that you have been doing it, and I really appreciate it. And I suppose, Connor, this week here we have a very interesting topic to talk about.
Yeah, again, always looking for something different, and this time we're going to talk about the Rally3 class. It's part of the FIA Rally Pyramid. It's a class that's, I suppose, it's increasing or it's growing, you know, in interest and numbers in it. And we thought it'd be a good opportunity to maybe delve a bit deeper, Kevin.
Yeah, because we've seen internationally, and the WRC and European Rally Championship, and across Europe, it's the upcoming class, and it's a great opportunity for young talent and the more seasoned competitors as well too. But it has never quite caught the imagination here yet in Ireland, and we just thought we'll find out a wee bit more about it, because we have extolled the virtues of it now for long enough.
That's it. It's a major stepping stone for any of the younger or inexperienced drivers looking to make that step up to, the Rally 2, without it being a complete shock to the system. And the Rally 3 really does bridge that gap. But we thought, look, there's no point in us, as usual, talking about things. Better that we hear from the experts. And we caught up with some of the local talent who have been campaigning the Rally 3 car. So we're going to have Eamonn Kelly, Johnnie Mulholland, Richard Alone, Shane Quinn, and William Creighton to talk to us. Now, you may notice Eamonn might disappear after, a few minutes of the episode. He was very kind and gave us his time while he was away, but unfortunately we couldn't hold on to him for the whole episode.
So in the podcast, we've long talked about the virtues of Rally 3 and how fantastic a formula it is. It allows you to progress right from grassroots right up to World Championship level. And Richard, me and you got speaking at the Circuit Ireland, and we come up with this a brainwave, or you want to call it, that we would explore what the Rally 3 car was, and how good it is, and let other people sort of gain your knowledge. So,
hi, Kevin. I quite often, and I'm sure the other boys are the same there, quite often people approach the service park asking what it is, and they don't know what it is, or maybe haven't seen one before, and maybe there's only, I suppose the guys are on the screen there now at the minute. There's only a handful about, and anytime there's a rally, there's sort of only the class is sort of limited enough, to what the entry levels are. And it was sort of a conversation you and I had to sort of see, try and promote the class a wee bit and try and get a wee bit more more numbers into the thing, and then I won't be winning trophies. So that would be sort of the idea, that was sort of what the conversation started around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and can you give us kind of a brief kind of spec off the car, kind of give us an overview?
Yeah, well, so I suppose the first thing is looking at the Rally Triangle, the Rally 1 boys there, that are boys heading that are pointing that direction there, down to the Rally 2, and then Rally 3 is the sort of one in the middle that nobody looks at, or very few look at, and then the Rally 4 guys there, sort of the front wheel drive. So the car we're talking about here is a 4-wheel drive. And just looking at the spec sheet here, it's a sort of 1500 EcoBoost engine with 3-cylinder 12 valve, putting out 235 horsepower. Sorry, Kevin?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
235 and with torque of 415. So that's the kind of numbers. Yeah, so for me now, I came from a front wheel drive car going into the 4-wheel drive. Just say I started very, very late. I started when I could afford to do it, and I'm about to quit anytime. So joking. So but just the first sort of toe into the 4-wheel drive thing, I just wouldn't have felt comfortable getting into a Rally 2 car at all. Just having very limited experience, and sort of Rally 3 was a bit obvious. And for me, it was a conversation we were broken down on a motorway, along with Stephen Whitford, and I said I had an interest in one of these, and he says, I know a boy has one, and William's name came up, and a phone call was made, and a few days later, we were in deal mode. So that's how I came to have one. And other than that conversation hadn't happened, I probably wouldn't have done it. But that's where so I ended up buying William's car.
Yeah, because like William, you've had that experience. You've come in the front wheel drive route into the Rally 3 car, and it propelled you to being a world champion. Like they are such a fantastic wee car, and they're the ideal stepping stone from Rally 2 on, or sorry, Rally 4 up.
Yeah, I've had the best years of my rally life so far in a Rally 3 car, winning the JWRC. So it's given me a lot of good memories, Liam and I. Yeah, like you touched upon there, it's a nice stepping stone. The Rally 4 car, once you want to get out of that into 4-wheel drive, it is a big jump to go to Rally 2. There's a lot of suspension travel. There's a lot more power than a Rally 4 car, and obviously with a 4-wheel drive, you've got a lot more traction. So the Rally 3 car, yeah, it's 4-wheel drive, but it's just not as aggressive with the amount of power and just not as much suspension travel. So it definitely sits well there, and it's a nice bridge between that gap, for drivability, but also, the financial side of things as well. The Rally 2 cars are very expensive to buy and then also very expensive to run. So, yeah, the Rally 3 is a little bit more manageable. So, yeah, they're starting to become a bit more common now, and if we get a few more in Ireland, it'd be even better. I think it's a good car. It nearly is taking over, that Evo type, driver that's sort of fading out now. And if we could switch all those men to Rally 3s, there'd be some good racing. But yeah, it's a great car, and I've had a lot of fun in one of them.
Yeah, because Eamonn, you've done the same as well. You've come up through that route and all too, and is it a big step, even stepping from front wheel drive into 4-wheel drive? Does that take time to adapt to that as well?
Yeah, I mean, the Rally 3 is definitely bridged the gap. I experienced stepping from a front wheel drive Rally 4 car into an R5, which was the pole at the time. Obviously, very lucky to do that. But yeah, it was definitely a big jump, especially on gravel, which I noticed when I look back at how I was driving the Polo on gravel when I got into it for the first time. It was terrible. And that was coming from the front wheel drive car. I probably didn't have the confidence to let it move around. I didn't have the confidence to really play around with the car because everything's happening so fast and everything's coming at you so fast. You're also driving a very expensive car that you feel like if you come at something too fast and hit it, it's going to be big consequences. So yeah, I mean, the Rally 3 is brilliant. You get into it. It's not necessarily a fast car. It's not slow, but it's definitely not fast, and everything feels manageable. And you have the confidence when you're behind the wheel to just, play around with it, throw it in the corner, see what it can do, see what the best way to go around a corner is. And you learn so much, different driving techniques. It's all very easy. So in terms of learning on 4-wheel drive, and as I said, especially on the loose, it's a savage gap, and as William touched on, obviously a slightly more cost-friendly approach too. Nothing is cost-friendly in rallying, but on this level, it's definitely easier than Rally 2. But yeah, it just needs that wee nudge in Ireland. I think it's something that just isn't realised yet, rather than ignored on purpose. I think when people realise what they can do in a Rally 3 car and the fun they can have at maybe a more cost-effective rate, because we have so many Rally 2 cars in Ireland. Mm-hmm. I'd say we probably have one of the most Rally 2 strongholds per capita in Europe, and it's that's great. But I think there's a lot of guys in that category that would probably have just as much fun at a cheaper rate in a Rally 3 car, and that would obviously create more racing. So yeah, I think it's an untapped market just yet in Ireland.
For sure. And like Shane, we've seen the stage interviews from the Circuit Ireland. Yourself and Johnny were racing, and you just were, beating a lot of Rally 2 guys, and like this, the two of you were really buzzing because you just were beating the higher category. but also having fantastic fun in the cars yourselves as well.
Yeah, for sure. Like a lot of them stages in Ireland do suit the Rally 3 car. Tight, tricky, mucky, bumpy stages do suit the car a lot. And a lot of people come off that be an Escort or a Rally 2 car. And if they go prematurely, it can be very hard, as the guys were saying, to settle in and get used to the cars. Whereas the Rally 3 car, no matter what the conditions are, if it's dry, it's well and good. If it's wet, it's still very manageable and very easy to get very competitive times in compared to other classes, and you're able to get well up the leaderboard. So they are very, very fun cars to drive, very easy cars to drive. And as the guy said, it's a great foundation to get before you jump from a Rally 4 to a Rally 2, or from any car to a Rally 2. It is a great foundation and a great fun class to be in.
I think, Johnny, and you're out. You're not expecting Malcolm Wilson to be calling you tomorrow with a works drive. You're out for the fun, and you've been one of the first to make that step over to Rally 3. A car that you get enjoyment from.
Absolutely, Kevin. As you say, myself and Shane and Richard, we're just clubmen. At the end of the day, Eamonn and William are definitely on a different level. Malcolm isn't wanting he doesn't want to ring me and offer me a full-time drive. So. But it's definitely a car you get a lot of enjoyment out of, as I just touched on briefly before we started the podcast there. Like I've had nearly every iteration of Fiesta through R2, R2T, Rally 4, and the Rally 3 then. So for me, it's felt totally natural coming from one car to the next, improvements in each category. But like they're really good cars, again, I'm going to repeat what some of the other guys said. Easy driven, definitely a stepping stone in terms of Rally 2 as a clubman. And again, the guys have touched on it a bit there. The amount of Rally 2s in the country, going to be a bit controversial. A lot of those guys maybe don't necessarily need to be in a Rally 2 if they feel like a Rally 3 might feel like a bit of a step back, but I think if they get into it and experience it for a rally or two, they'd realise that they're probably going to go every bit as fast in a Rally 3 as they would a Rally 2. It's maybe just not as daunting. It's not as aggressive. Cheaper if they have a mishap, which is always a factor that has to be counted in. So I've been at rallies, and again, Richard touched on this too. The amount of guys that have come up to me and said, like, what is that? Or you must be driving the door handles off that thing. Which, again, I'm not really, compared to the likes of Eamonn and William there. They would go a lot faster again. But if some of those guys would just realise the potential that little car has, I think they'd be well impressed. And they'd probably enjoy their rallying just as much, if not more, because the cost aspect is greatly reduced. They're actually able to drive the car maybe on its limits. So, yeah, I wish there was a lot more of them. There is starting to become a few more, but there just needs to be that kind of progressive movement into them, because I think everyone would really enjoy it.
Yeah,
it's funny this year, Kevin. I've sort of chopped and changed a few navigators this year, and I've had David Burns who would have been sitting with Conor McCrossan's Rally 2 car, and Elaine Shea there who was sitting with Sean Devine, and so those people have all come from Rally 2, and they're really, really, both of them are really, really impressed with what the car does, and they feel comfortable, they feel safe, so and they don't complain about lack of speed or lack of entertainment, let's say. So sometimes just that's my feedback in the car, it's sometimes from the navigator sort of saying, oh yeah, that thing's mighty, or that's brilliant, or and you get the same at the end of the stages. Now they're not disappointed,
Yeah, for sure. And like Eamonn, you're a lot younger than me, but a few years ago we had the Group N car, and that was you learned your trade before you progressed into Group A or World cars, and that stepping stone seems to have gone. Rally 3 is that ideal, getting in there and earning your spurs almost kind of thing. You look at the likes of Gary Jennings. So many guys have come through the Group N route, and it has allowed them to hone their trade. Maybe that's what I'm going for with.
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, my dad was involved in that era too, so I grew up around it. And it was funny, they have so many similarities. Okay, a Rally 3 car to buy one is obviously a lot more expensive than an Evo. But other than that, the approach is the same. They weren't the most loud and exciting cars to watch. Even when you were inside one, sometimes it didn't feel like you were going fast, but then you looked at the timesheets, and I remember watching old RPMs and stuff, and anytime the weather was wet, these guys like Gary and Ali Fisher and all, they were setting top times and leading rallies until it dried out and the world cars got the better of them. The Rally Threes are of a similar nature. Like, you can go to a rally, and if you really, really put the hammer down, there's no reason why you can't be near the top five. They're so capable and they're so much fun, and when you can build on that and get towards driving them like that, it's class fun, and there's no expectations on you either when you rock up in a car like that. No one expects anything, so it doesn't really matter where you finish, but you're always going to exceed people's expectations. And yeah, like I said before, we're not at that level of interest yet in Ireland, but we can be. I've been lucky to do a few warm-up rallies out in Scandinavia, and the Rally3 class out there is so popular. And it's a mix of young drivers who are learning their trade, and a mix of clubmen who are have been rallying for years, have plenty of experience, and are very fast guys as well. And like, when me and Gordy did Arctic Rally, I think there was 25 Rally3 cars that started that rally, which was insane, and some buzz. We were all lining up and we were all seated together. You weren't looking at anyone else in the rally. It was like our own rally within the rally, and it was just fantastic. You're jumping up positions, stage by stage, dropping positions, whatever. And yeah, just great racing. And I think that's something it would be great to see at home, and I think spectators would love it too. Wherever you have racing within a class, it doesn't matter what type of car it is. If people are driving them hard, that people love to see it. It's like the Dacias, you know what I mean? Yeah. People love that because them boys are taking the most out of them wee cars. So yeah, it's the same principle. But yeah, I would love to see it become the new Group N, and some new era heroes be born out of it.
For sure. And you've done a couple of events here at home in the Rally3 car. You've done the Lakeland and what was it Cork there earlier in the year too as well. And like, you were third in the Lakeland, or third or fourth, and top five as well too in the other event. It just shows the capabilities of these cars. Like, as you say, you can match and beat a lot more expensive machinery.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. When you get them up to speed and you carry the speed, they're so capable. You have four-wheel drive, and it's just like I said, a matter of getting them up to that speed. They don't get up to that speed just as quick as the Rally2 car. They don't stop as quick as the Rally2 car, but they do everything else somewhat similarly. And that's the buzz. Pushing them, and so that said, it's somewhat of a safe space to do that because they are quite easy to drive, and yeah, you can just build on your pace, and that brings anyone on as a driver. So yeah, as I said before, we've so many Rally2 cars at home that going in a Rally3 and seeing where you stack up against them is always really, really good fun. But hopefully it's it'll grow in the future.
Well, we've seen you competed at home as well too. West Cork and the Down Rally. Like, West Cork, you were matching and beating the Class 14 guys and nothing the Rally2 guys. The Down Rally, I think you were almost third overall. I think you just got nipped in the very last stage, but fourth overall on tarmac. It shows the capability of these cars, not just on gravel but also on tar.
Yeah, no, definitely. Eamonn touched on it there, and obviously, Eamonn and I are lucky that we're coming back. Whenever I was in the Rally3 car, I was coming back from the Junior WRC event, so I had a lot of seat time, and I was, pushing the car to its limit, or trying to anyway. So, whenever I come back with that, of course, I'm going to have an edge on, the local competitors. So, that helps, and obviously that's an opportunity for me to showcase what the car can do. And Eamonn's done that this year that we talked about. But I know I said earlier about it's an opportunity for, maybe more gentleman drivers or people who have a Rally2 car to step back into a Rally3 car. But I think it's also important that the guys coming out of Rally4 trying to progress, it's important for them to go through that category, because I do think from Rally4 to Rally2 it's it's a big jump, and you know, you could very easily shake yourself and nearly make take a step backwards by making that jump too soon. And the Rally 3 doesn't have, it's not a huge amount more powerful than the Rally 4 car once you get it up to speed. So you do drive it very like a front wheel drive car. You don't slide it as much as you would in a Rally 2 car, and you don't have as much suspension travel. So, if you can drive the Rally 4 car to the limit, you can take a lot of those skills with you when you get into the Rally 3 car and nearly instantly be quick, and also learn from having four-wheel drive what it's like to have, another diff. And it's three-way adjustable suspension, all the other things that go with it. It's just a mini Rally 2 car, and like we said, bridges that gap and just allows you probably to take the most out of that before you then step up into the bigger car.
Sure. And Shane, from you, Will and Eamonn's both touched on about it. Rallying is so much about confidence, and if you take the step too soon and you move into a Rally 2 car, and suddenly the top guys are taking 20, 25 seconds a stage out of you, you start to is it me? It's the problem, not the car. So, but if you can step into a Rally 3 car and put into practice all you've learnt in the Rally 4 car, your confidence is good, and it pushes you forward, and it makes you, a better driver.
Yeah, 100%. Like as you've touched on there, the confidence is everything in rallying. Going from that'd be Rally 5 to Rally 4 to Rally 3, even to Rally 2. If you can take small steps and keep building every time, try and reduce the number of hits you have at an event, or try and reduce crashes or anything you have. If you can keep the confidence building in each and every rally, you'll eventually keep putting the pieces together to make an overall great package of a car, of a driver, of a navigator, of everything. It builds confidence, and then you can really push on hard. I think, as William said there, if the stepping stone is there from the Rally 4 to the Rally 3, and it's encouraged more, to go from Rally 4 to Rally 3, I think you'll see a lot more of the younger drivers going to a Rally 3 rather than jumping a huge leap to a Rally 2 car, and then, as you said, maybe losing confidence or losing interest. And also, it's budget is a huge thing, jumping to a Rally 2 car, as we touched on before. So if people can showcase what they can do, and I suppose just get their feet in the ground in a Rally 3 car, their confidence builds with them into the Rally 2 car if they decide to take that step. And if not, they can still have a lot of fun in the Rally 3 car to stay in it for as long as they wish. For both gentlemen drivers and for young lads trying to prove themselves coming up, it is a car for everyone. You could say, as touched on earlier, it's the new Group N cars as such, So look, at hopefully it does take up over the next while. And like I remember 3 or 4 years ago, I can't remember exactly when it was. Like William came to West Cork in the car and finished 6th or 7th overall. Brendan Kuminski had a Rally 3 car for a few years, and it's like hopefully it starts a bit of a snowball effect. And like Johnny had the car from the start as well. Now there's slowly but surely, there's Richard, myself, KCJ. There's a few more boys coming in there. If it can just snowball a bit more, once the cars get into the country, hopefully it'll stay in it then, and it'll keep multiplying.
Yeah.
I know Johnny maybe had a few issues last year, and I'm saying this and holding on to a big lump of timber here, but I don't say this. Oliver from our camp, every time I finish a rally, he comes up, puts the window down, and he says to me, the 100% finish record is still intact. So that's a big thing for me. Where I came from, I had a mechanical every weekend. I was going out and I was about to just hang the boots up, and I'm not saying it. Oliver says it, that we have a 100% finish record on the car. And the service intervals, like I bought the car of William, and yeah, we're going to do a rebuild this year over the winter, but that car has done an awful lot. If you look in EWRC and follow the car, you'll see it's done a fair bit, and I hope not saying something here that we're Donegal looming, so I don't want to say too much, but it has been really, really reliable. I don't know, Shane, maybe you're the same. You've had no real few wee niggles here and there, but nothing that has really sort of nothing other than driver error, maybe. But
yeah, for sure. To be fair, the car never let us down. Thank God. Just touching wood here myself.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't let us down. It's been a very reliable car. Very easy on parts as well. Compared to a Rally 4 car where might be hard on dry shafts or whatever. Rally 3 seems to be a very well built car. It's very strong. It has a lot of Rally 2 parts that make it strong, I suppose, to not, I suppose, just durable. It's a very durable car.
Yeah, I was just about to jump in there and follow on from that. Like I said, I came from nearly every iteration of the Fiesta, from R2 to Rally 4 to now Rally 3, and honestly, apart from the couple of niggles I had, in terms of running costs, and I think this is what guys, again, when we talk about gentlemen drivers and clubmen and Rally 2s, I think this would be a big selling point for some of these guys, because it would allow them to probably do more rallying. It would probably allow them to get out more. I would say my Rally 3 car really isn't that much harder to run than what my Rally 4 was. Shane touched on a little bit there, the Rally 4, every other rally, or maybe breaking a drive shaft or something was not going wrong, but there was just always seemed to be something when you were pushing that car on it, drive shafts going there or cracking discs or something silly like that, And again, I say touch wood like all the other guys, but in terms of running costs, it's really not that much worse than what a Rally 4 is. If you compare that to what a Rally 2 is, William or Shane might be able to touch on that a little bit, but I imagine it's a considerable amount of money more to go and do the likes of a national round or even an international round in a Rally 2 compared to the Rally 3. And again, going back to it, as we keep repeating, these guys that are in Rally 2s as clubmen or gentlemen drivers, that's kind of what starts to put them off a bit. A small accident is suddenly 10 grand. A drive shaft breaks, there's a couple of grand. Things just start to spiral out of control very quickly. On a Rally 2.
Yeah, even the tire bill. I mean,
tires and thing. Yeah,
I'm running. Let's say two full rallies out of a set of maybe three out of a set of tires. Maybe I'm not pushing them hard enough, but I'm definitely getting value in tires. So.
Yeah, I think another thing probably we should be touching on too is the body panels on them are standard body panels. You're not looking at expensive Kevlar or all this as well.
No,
too.
Exactly. Yeah. It's standard Ford parts. In our business, we were a Ford dealership. We can still get access to Ford servicing and all that stuff.
I knew there was going to be a sales pitch in there.
I've already hooked Richard into a few parts. Don't worry.
That's right.
Email address and phone number, just pop up.
Even though it didn't need
it. Scrolling across the bottom of the screen, doesn't it?
No, I'll put it across an ad. Yeah, but do you know what I mean? Like it's as simple as going on and ordering replacement panels. Can be there next day. Low cost option. Rally 2 again. You're back into Kevlar or carbon Kevlar or whatever it is. Wings. Bonnets, everything's just suddenly more expensive. And fair enough, if you're competing in the top 10 of an international or national rally consistently every weekend, Rally 2 is probably good for you. Anything other than that, and it's probably a bit of a controversial thing to say, you're not getting the benefit out of or the joy out of it. And again, I think I could nearly be a salesman for M Sport here, but I think if you step into Rally 3, and yes, it doesn't give you that sudden burst of power that a Rally 2 will give you, or it doesn't give you that sudden thrill of speed, but if anyone drove a Rally 2, or a Rally 3, sorry, if anyone drove a Rally 3, how they drive their Rally 2, they'd go every bit as fast. And I say that to people who ask me about them at every event that I go to, because like Richard said, there's always questions, there's always, how are you doing this, and how are you going so fast, and how are you beating me in that car? And it's honestly not doing anything crazy. It's just the car's so capable, and you're not afraid to use it all. Circuit of Ireland, probably a good testament to that. Tough rally, very narrow, tricky stages, a lot of tight corners, very mucky, very wet. Me, Shane and Richard, we could use every ounce of power that we had available to us out of every corner. We could lean in the car as if it was a normal rally, whereas again, Rally 2 fills the road, put your foot on the accelerator, you're sliding here, there, and everywhere, and suddenly it just becomes a difficult or daunting thing to drive. So that's my 2 cents on that. But I just think it would. I would nearly love. I know M Sport came over and done like a test day with a couple of potential customers. I think Shane, you were there. When was that? A good year and a half or 2 years ago, maybe. But
Yeah,
I would really love them to come back and do something similar, but targeted at the Rally 2 driver. Because I think they would see their uptake in sales and orders and even interest just peak straight away, you know.
Yeah, and even the guys in the Evos and the Civics and all that. I mean, I don't know, but I used to spend more of my week working rather than working, just looking for parts for things and bits and pieces, you know, trying to source the parts. And then you'd buy the part that would come for the wrong fucking part, you know, all that. At least with the Rally3 car, you go on, you order the part. It's like, I was looking there, oil filters like £6 or something, whatever it was, I don't know, €6, whatever it is. You order it and it's there from Poland next morning. That's, you know, it's just that side of it's really good. Now, as you say, when they have the stock is a problem sometimes, but you know, all those gearbox parts, all the engine parts, everything's there on the website. You know, and I suppose it has to be when it's in high level competition across Europe. So it's, for me, that saves an awful lot of downtime and running and guesswork taken out of it. And when you need a wing mirror, you can just order it on eBay.
I know a better place for you, Richard.
I know, but that's a wee bit more dear. That's a wee bit more expensive.
Like, going back on what Richard said there as well, like talking about parts for the cars and second-hand parts. If there's more cars in the country, there's more people with spares package. That if we go to a rally and something happens to our car, well, Johnny might have something, or Richard might have something, and same vice versa. You can start helping each other out. Same the way the lads do in the Rally 2s, the escorts, all the modified stuff. Whereas at the moment, yeah, it is easy to get the order stuff online from M Sport, but like even there is parts that people do has helped us out in the past in service. I think an alternator belt there in the Circuit of Ireland and the first service.
Yeah.
Another guy, one of the other service crews got one for us. It's just when there's more parts available, they're easier to run, people help each other out, and there is great, let's say, comradeship in Irish rallying to help each other out that way. And that when there is more cars available, that should take off more as well, you know.
And well, you mentioned, you know, it's been mentioned there, you know, but the quality of these cars, like these are they're not a road car built into a rally car. These are built as a rally car from the ground up, and like that shows in their strength, you know, their durability, you know, and this reliability that all the guys are talking about as well.
Yeah, look, it's fantastic, well put together car. I did test the durability off them quite a few times in the JWRC. But yeah, in terms of reliability, very good. And you know, if you have any issues with the car, M Sport Poland there or on the other end of the phone, you can send the data backwards and forwards. The engineers are available. I would encourage anyone thinking about going down this line to go out to M Sport Poland and see Maciek and the team. It's a 10-minute taxi from Krakow Airport, and it's probably the tidiest car factory that I have ever been in my life. They run a serious outfit over there, really, really impressive. So I'm sure you'd be glad to have you over and give you the tour and sell you a car while you're out there. But yeah, there's a very professional team there, people that can look after you if you're thinking about going down that route. And yeah, look, I know we're trying to say all the positives of the Rally3 car. If you want to buy a Rally2 car, you know, and you're in that position, you're very lucky to do it, and they're an amazing bit of kit. So it has to suit each person as well. And but it definitely is a great car, and yeah, it can suit a lot of people. And
just further on from what William was saying, I suppose, like, we were out. William's obviously been at the factory a few times. I was there once. There was a test. Remember, William, there was a test weekend in Poland for the Rally3 at a track on the gravel and the tar. Me, William, and Eamonn all went out actually, and just got the tour of the M Sport factory and all the usual stuff. And just as you said, it's from the ground up. There's, you know, it starts as a completely bare shell, and from there on, there's nothing standard about it. Again, as you say, it's not like you go out and buy a road car, you strip it all out, and you know, Richard up the road welds a cage into it, and Shane will do the gearbox and things like that. So from the ground up, you have a team of properly trained engineers, proper proper data centers, proper parts people, proper motorsport backed outfit. So you can't. There's very few places that you go out and buy that. You couldn't build it as well as those guys can do it. And as William said, if you're in the market for one, a quick phone call, even if you have a car, they'd be more than happy to see you over and show you around.
Yeah,
me and William had a good tour around the place. Eamonn was lying in the back seat of the car, feeling sorry for himself. So
I think Kieran Graffin had 6 from Poland there, and like I think maybe one of them stayed in Ireland. I think the rest all went somewhere else, sort of across Europe, and so it shows you the demand, I suppose, for the car in Europe, and but maybe not just so in Ireland. And I suppose, look, my old financial head on, I just say, well, that keeps the value of the car up. So when you buy it and there's a demand Europe wide, there's obviously a market wider than Ireland. Then when you go to resell the car, you should be stepping out at limited loss, let's say, on your, but that's another side of it. And as things keep going up in price, the used stuff will follow that a bit too, and so that's, and I suppose as it grows in Ireland, we'd expect that same thing to happen in the market for the value of the cars to sort of be held. As long as we keep the 4 wings on it, keep them all the right way up, they'll be fine.
Connor, you want to jump in there?
Yeah, I was just curious, Shane, that transition from Rally 4. Like, if you've somebody watching this or listening to this that's thinking of making the move from Rally 4 to Rally 3, what did you find is kind of, the biggest thing, or the maybe the surprising thing about
it? I suppose the surprising thing about it was how easy it was to transition. It's actually a lot easier to drive than a front-wheel drive car. It's more predictable. I was surprised with the running costs. It is, no matter what anyone says or the gossip that goes around, it is, in my opinion, it is, if you don't hit the car, it is cheaper to run than a Rally 4 car in terms of maintenance, in my opinion. Then the 4-wheel drive with the lower end of power compared to a Rally 2 car makes it very easy to drive, makes it very easy to be competitive straight off the bat in any national or international rally in Ireland. It gives you great confidence. It allows you to grow as a driver, as I said earlier on, rather than jumping straight from Rally 4 to Rally 2. It does give you great confidence, and it just is an all-around easy car to drive. It does what you want it to do, and when you want it to do it,
And Johnny, you mentioned their availability of parts and the tour of the factory and all the rest of it, but is the support there as well? Like, if you were trying to get help with setup or that type of thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I have a few email addresses, as will all the guys of the people in M Sport. Have a few phone numbers there. You could nearly ring them at any time of day, and they'd be more than likely to answer the phone. Especially if they know you're at an event, or it's a popular event that's on. It's almost like they predict that, and they have a team of engineers or someone at the factory that you can bounce something off. All the data, as William said, you can send that across. They'll read it for you, tell you if you've any issues. As I had a bit of engine trouble with mine at the very start, through no fault of M Sports. But the data gets sent straight across to them, and you nearly have an answer the same day as to what a potential issue might be, which is fantastic, because again, as a clubman, we're not professional teams, or we're not Formula One teams. We don't carry engineers with us at every round. We don't carry someone who's an expert in reading technical data on a laptop. So to have that backup, almost, without having to ask, really for any help, they don't. I've never sent them any data or anything, and I've been asked for money or anything. So just because you're a customer in a Fiesta Rally 3, it's almost like it's part of the package. Whereas if you went, I've done a lot of track racing and stuff when I was younger, a lot of circuit racing, and it was nearly extra to have an engineer there who could read data. It was extra to have this. It was extra to have that. Now, M Sport will charge you if you want to have an engineer on the event, but we usually don't. We usually don't need that unless it's something really technical. But the backup's fantastic and the support's fantastic. I say I could nearly be a salesman for M Sport at some of these events for them. I wish I was on commission, but unfortunately not. But no, again. Yeah, well, that's a bad word in M Sport land, I think. I went down that route one other day and got a swift no, so definitely not.
Yeah. And Richard, we've talked about the M Sport Fiesta, and obviously the Renault have entered the Rally3, and Toyota are working on a Rally3 for the RS. Any word of any other manufacturers considering it?
Not that I'm aware of. I've done a wee bit of that research this afternoon. There was sitting looking at, and the Clio, I think, is a 1.3 car that they use. And look, I think the price point of them as a used car or to enter that, I mean, I think they're a lot less in terms of trying to buy one of those, and I don't think they're just as costly as the Fiesta, but. I sort of don't really keep a wide angle on anybody else that's doing anything in that space,
I'll just interrupt there because I did ask the question to this isn't a plug, William Creighton, by the way, but we're a Hyundai dealership as well as a Skoda dealership. And I did ask the question, was either of those on the cards as a Rally3 car? Because it's an untapped market, M Sport have such a stronghold on it. Hyundai had a no to that, and so did Skoda. So it would be great to see more manufacturers in. It would always help competition, always helps breed interest. Even just the introduction of some of the guys coming over to Ireland in the RS Rally 2 was like out of this world. It was something new and it was something different coming on the Irish soil. So I've raced against a few of the Clios in Belgium, really quick cars. I think they're 1600. I think they're 1600. Richard, they sound exactly like an R5. I think they've more power on the straights. It's crazy. But as an all-round package, again, the Fiesta proves to be the one to have because the Clio doesn't look too good over bumps. It's a bit bigger. It's a bit heavier. So. The Fiesta is probably the best all-rounder. Again, like most of the categories. But yeah, I'd love to see some more manufacturers in it. Potentially further down the years, depending on the way that the Rally 1 cars go or the WRC goes, it might be something they start to look into. If things kind of go Rally 2 routes as the top tier, then very quickly that could breed a bit of extra innovation in the lower classes.
And well, this is a car that will let you compete in a round of the Northern Ireland Championship, a round of the Tarmac Championship, a round of the BRC, a round of the World Championship. This is the car that that you don't need to be chopping and changing your car. This will take you right to the very top.
Yeah, funny. I was going to say that. You can go anywhere in the world and compete in any FIA event with the Rally3 car. Obviously, with it being a homologated car, so. Of course, if you're lucky enough to get that opportunity, it makes that very easy to enter European Rally Championship. WRC, you can't, if you want to run in the junior WRC, you need to run with the academy in the program with M Sport, but you can run in the RC3 class with a Rally3 car. So you can do any of those big events, which opens up a lot of opportunity that you couldn't necessarily do. Maybe in a different category of cars. So it's just another string to the bow, I guess, of going down that route.
Mm-hmm. That's for sure. And like Richard too, as well. We see the modified, the class 13, class 14 guys, astronomical power, but they're throwing tires at them. The rebuild cost in the engines is colossal.
Yeah.
All those things, the Rally 3 just makes a lot more sense for somebody that's just out. Yeah. Yes, everybody wants to be competitive, but you want to have fun as well too.
Yeah, they're having fun, and I suppose when they're going sideways, they're not going forward. But from my perspective, when I see the rain coming, I know that we have a chance there. And those modified guys, and anytime I see rain, I'm delighted. I don't know if the other Rally 3 men think the same, but Like the Circuit of Ireland, everybody was complaining and whinging, but we were up the road, And I mean, I say one negative thing. I mean, I discovered on Saturday, not that there's a major negative, but anywhere there was a big long uphill pull, there was 2 or 3 of those on Saturday. Big sort of 750s uphill, just keep the toe in till you get to the top, and you do struggle a bit there, because you've only a 3-cylinder engine. You've only but like I was speaking to somebody else who had a Rally 2 car, the maybe R5 car, and he said exactly the same thing. He struggled with top end power, getting up through the gears on the big long drag up the hill, and that I just noticed. I just thought to myself, give me another gear here, give me something more. But that's the first time I've ever experienced that, But it teaches you to carry speed around the corner, and when you're carrying speed around the corner, you're carrying it up the straight, and when you're carrying it up the straight, you're carrying it over the finish line. So that's what it's all about, the stopwatch. So yeah, modified grand, and it has its place, and it has all of the above, but you're in a properly engineered vehicle, properly built, homologated for doing what it's doing. It's not, and we talk about safety, and we talk about all those things are important, and that's where I feel most comfortable at my stage at 52. Definitely Malcolm's not looking up at me unless he's looking the bins emptied. So that's I don't think I'll ever be looking for a Rally 2 car. I'm quite comfortable where I'm at and quite happy where I'm at. Coming home and knowing I'll get to work on Monday morning, that's what's important to me. So,
and well, from your point of view, you've experienced you stepping out of it, the Rally 3 car into the Rally 2, and the Fiesta, and now into the Yaris. And do you feel your time in the Rally 3 has helped make that progression easier too?
Yeah, definitely. No, definitely. If I were to make the jump into Rally 2 straight from Rally 4, it is a big jump, especially if you're maybe not taking the most out of the Rally 4, and you take that jump too early, then that's when I think it can turn into a bit of a disaster, and you can make a backward step. So yeah, getting familiar with what it's like to drive a 4-wheel drive, it's like a new lease of life. You can pull the handbrake, disconnect the rear diff, and start to slide the car, and then when you get back in the power, you can actually go forward, and have a bit more traction than if you're in a Rally 4 car. So it's a lot of fun when you first experience that, and when you quickly learn how to drive it efficiently and properly. It makes it a whole lot easier than whenever you step into Rally 2. It's still a step, a decent step. There's no doubt about that going into Rally 2, but without a doubt, you're more prepared if you've come through that Rally 3 class beforehand. So yeah, it's helpful.
The Rally 4, Kevin, I think it's 130 kilos between the two cars. So the Rally 3 cars are 130 kilos heavier.
Okay.
So on a dry day, you can see the Rally 4 guys, kind of, they're hard to beat because they're carrying that wee bit less weight, and then like some me's carrying a wee bit more weight on top of the normal 9-stone heroes. So like those guys are hard to beat in the dry. But there is a bit of a difference, a bit of an advantage maybe in the wet, so.
And it's Ireland we're in, there's not so many dry days.
Exactly, yeah.
I can't remember as well. I don't know whether it's right or not, but the Rally 3 car, if I remember right, the arms and stuff on, say, the front right of the car fit the rear left, and vice versa. So it's quite smart the way they've engineered it, that you're not carrying 4 spares of everything necessarily. You can be smart with that package that you want to buy, and if you do have an issue on a rally, or you clip something, you're not having to carry 4 of everything. And I can't remember what else that covers, but I definitely remember there was.
Yeah, I think we done this year as well, which saved a good few quid, because I'm only starting to drive the car in anger, and we were running on 98 fuel, just because we just didn't think we were going to get any big advantage of it, and we plugged in. Might have been your ECU, I don't know, Shane, but I don't know. We plugged in an ECU there at the weekend just with 102 in it, just to try it. Would I notice half a second or a second a kilometre? Probably not, but so there are things like that you can do quite easily on them. Just change the map on them very, very. I mean, that you can do that in through an email in the morning. It's done, and you just change over onto a different type of fuel. And so we saved. I mean, the difference between 102 and 98. I mean, it depends what you're using, but yeah, there was a good saving to be had there. You know, just for getting miles in and doing rallies that we knew we weren't going to be competitive, but we wanted a bit of seat time, and you know, there's no point in burning the top end fuel because we knew we weren't there. So, but we're going to change that now.
Change it for Donegal, Richard. There's a lot of big straights, so you're going to need all that power.
Going to need it all. Yeah.
So I suppose like you're all in it for competition, and what do you call it? Is there much of an opportunity to get everybody together at the same rally to have that competition, or is it quite spread out? Maybe Richard, I'll throw that to you.
Yeah, well, for me this year, I'm trying to do the Tarmac Championship, and I've ended up doing the Northern Ireland Championship too. And I've sort of learned that I suppose it's nearly cheaper to do a 2 or 3 day rally than it is to do a 1 day rally. With Shane being sort of he sort of does you're doing the Irish Tarmac and the National, isn't that right?
Doing the Irish Tarmac and dipping it out of the National.
Aye, so and Johnny's sort of going to weddings a lot there at the minute, and so it's just we're all kind of not coordinated together in the same rounds at the same time. So maybe Donegal, we can maybe all have a go there. What do you think, boys?
Yeah, again, just as we were chatting, it's not a challenge, but that's nearly been the biggest thing so far this year, is trying to get everyone who has a Rally 3 at the same event. Apart from the normal championships available in Ireland, they're unlike the Stellantis Cup, I think it is. There isn't something dedicated for Rally 3s. I had a brief discussion with it was actually Brendan Comiskey a few years ago. You know, it was probably last year maybe. He had kind of proposed the idea of a dedicated Rally 3 championship to me, which consisted of mainly national rounds, along with a few gravel rounds, and I was all for it. So I think something like that would actually probably help the class. It would encourage all of us to be there. All of us would be able to race each other, but it would probably encourage someone to go out and buy a car. You know, someone who's maybe thinking about that step, they suddenly have a championship to go to, a bit like the Dacias. You know, no one would have ever built or bought a Dacia rally car last year because there's what were they doing it for? But now there's a championship, and sure, look at the amount of them. I know there's a good cost benefit to them, but how many is there? Is there 8 or 9 of them out? I
think there was at the weekend.
Yeah,
10 or 11.
You know,
maybe, yeah.
All of a sudden there's a championship filled with cars because.
How many have we got? How many Rally 3s do you think is there in the country, I wonder?
Would be
there's a question for some of the experts running the podcast.
Yeah. Well, there's 3 youths. There's Jack Cairns, there's Casey J, there is so there you're up to 5.
There's more than 5, I think.
Brendan Comiskey still has, I think, hasn't he? So, and who else is it? Mm-hmm.
Does Boland still have one?
Yeah.
There's one in Waterford, isn't there? One down that country, and
that's Boland.
Boland's right, and then
there is a few. And did I see maybe just some of the 1 or 2 of the big guys have one for hire, maybe? Or
yeah, that's right. Yeah,
there could be 10, couldn't there? Could be 10.
There could very well be 10 of them. So if we could all get everyone G'd up to enter the same events, it would be fantastic. That's the hardest part, really. We need to start a big group chat.
Yeah. So, Richard, like, you know, if somebody's spectating at a rally, you'd be always more than delighted to bring them over, have them look round, show them the car, you know, extol the benefits.
Don't ask me. I'll just point. I don't even know what it does, but just I know what button to press. But other than that, yeah, you know, it's pretty straightforward now.
Right, and Johnny, you'll sell them a car if they need one.
Listen, if Malcolm's paying me commission, I will sell as many of them as I possibly can. I would nearly have them in the showroom if I could.
Stop.
That might actually be a business idea now. You've put that in my head, Kevin. Good man.
I'm on commission now too, then. So.
Yeah. So, there's no warranty though.
So, Shane, I suppose then to yourself too, you know, go out there, get involved. You know, go out and try them.
Yeah, for sure. If there's one thing, there's a few of them for hire there. As I said, Loughran's have one for hire. personal lads would hire. If you're in two minds of doing it, just hire one for a rally, see what you think, and I guarantee you won't be disappointed.
Yeah. And I suppose, well, last word to yourself. This is the car that allowed you to be a world champion, so you have very fond memories of him.
Yeah, like I said at the start, have a lot of good memories with the Rally3 and M Sport Poland. So yeah, look, if there's anyone that's interested, pick up the phone, ask us questions, or get in touch with M Sport Poland. They'll be glad to help you out.
So thanks very much again there to all the lads. Really appreciate their time, and hope that really has helped to inform people and lift the lid on what a Rally3 car is. And as everybody said tonight there, please go and ask the question if you see them in service. They're more than happy to let you have a look around, explain what the ins and outs of the car is. I think it's just it's an ideal stepping stone for somebody that's on the way up to Rally 2, somebody that wants to go out and enjoy their rallying. Not at crazy money. There's no rallying cheap, Connor.
No, there certainly isn't. And we know it costs an awful lot to go rallying. But certainly what the guys have said, not only to buy, but to run those cars, it does seem to make a lot of economic sense compared to making that leap straight into Rally 2.
That's for sure, that's for sure. So that's another episode of Crunching Gears, the Rally Podcast. Until the next time, take care, speak soon, and bye.
That's the proudest day and the proudest time in the seat of a rally car, because that day and that hour and those minutes, I got the bit between my teeth. I really stood up and was counted and said, this is not getting away. I remember when we pulled on our helmets and Donald says to me, what are we doing? I said, we're going for gold, Barrett. That's all was said. I can still picture that run. That was just the best run ever.